I talked about it.
Do you see their sound? Not the video. Not from the video.
Stuff. Okay, so good morning or good afternoon, everybody.
Sound check.
Good afternoon. For sound check, we're doing a sound check. Sound check's okay. I have a hard time. I had this microphone before, but it wasn't that loud for me. I don't know why. So go Jays go.
Yeah.
Or right?
Not too soon.
I was gonna say go Leafs go, but I don't think so, right? So that's too bad. How about go Oilers? No. Go Leafs, no. It's amazing, eh? It's amazing how I don't know if you guys are hockey fans or not, but you've got the Seattle and you got Vegas. Vegas, what, 6 years in the business, and I think Seattle's the first year. They've already gone farther than Toronto Maple Leafs have gone in the last 50 years. So I don't know what's happened there, right? No, hey, no hockey fans here. No hockey fans. One fan, or everybody's depressed. Maybe that's the problem. So, did anybody do any open houses on the weekend? Some people from home too? No? Anybody? No? None? Yes? 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 I see some hands, those hands waving. No. I'm pretty sure that if you've got an opportunity to open house, you might want to do it. And the weather's getting to a point now where it's probably a nicer time to do open houses now than it would be before. So you can be proactive, right? If you want to do open houses, if you believe that open houses is a good thing to do, then you can be proactive. You can find somebody's listing, ask them if they'll let you do an open house. Right. So if you're looking for things to do, I think it's a great opportunity. People have done open houses. It's still a good way of generating buyers somehow, generating business, but generating neighbors somehow. So it's something you might want to think about. You gotta be careful with the signs, of course, but you want to be able to do that. Lots of things happening this week, and so I'll get into the market first of all. So I'll give you some good news, right? We've got how many? Do you remember how many listings we had this time last year? Sorry, last week. Anybody remember?
11,000.
About 11,000, right? About 11,880, 11,000. So that was a week ago. Today we have 11,600. So we've had over 500 active listings in the last 7 days. So what does that tell us? It tells us that the spring market's coming out there. It tells us that the sellers maybe are starting to get thinking about maybe selling. You had all kinds of people on the fence, and sellers on the fence, buyers on the fence, everybody's on the fence. Would you agree with me if I said to you that if you've got buyers, hands up anybody, buyers that said they want to wait for the prices to drop? Anybody have any buyers that have said that? Right? And can I tell you that what's happened there? That unfortunately that did happen, but it happened 2 months ago. So if the buyer wanted to wait for the prices to drop, they should have done something in January. But of course, we want to wait till today, right? So you don't, nobody knows for sure that they're at the bottom or there. Would you agree with that? Talking to some agents around here, and they're telling me, I've had 2 agents today tell me that the prices they got for property were the same price they would have got in February 22. February 22 was the peak. Anybody agree with that? Not agree with that?
I feel like it's lower.
I think it's still.
Some people say it's a little bit lower still. Okay, so we still haven't quite hit the average price for the detached house is 1.334 back in February 22. And I think the average price for April this year was $1,150,000. So it's still down quite a bit, but $1,150,000, as we talked about in previous weeks, it's gone up from January. So January, the average price was $1,037,000. So today we're at $1,153,000. So it's gone up $120,000 in the last since January. Prices have gone up. Interest rates have gone up as well, right? Since January. So whatever that means. But anyway, so the price is good. So I don't know. I'm finding things are happening. Does anyone have any properties that are not selling?
The higher price.
Is the $4 million price range, I think, slow? Someone told me last week that the $2.5 million price range, they're still getting lots of competition in that price range. $4 million range is a little tight, right? What about the what about the 950, 1.1, 1.2 range? Still very, very hot. Still getting multiple offers. I'm hearing about a lot of multiple offers on that price range. And so that's happening as well. But the market overall, we're hitting the bit of a spring market. It is picking up. I thought last week maybe it would slow down a little bit, but looking at the numbers today, I don't think so. So we've got 11,600 active listings. Good news is we've had 4,059 sales for the first 14 days in May. And last year we had 3,400. That means we've had a 26% increase for the first 14 days of May this year versus May last year. So that is very, very, very strong. Still not the numbers we're going to see, still not the 10,000, 12,000 sales, but it's certainly going to be in the 8,000 range, which is going to be the most sales we've had for quite some time. Most sales for I think for the last months or so. If we go back to January, we had 3,000 sales in January. We had 4,700 in February, 6,800 in March, 75 in April. So I expect over 8,000 for May. So not only are we getting an increase in prices, starting to get an increase in volume. So if you got any of those old buyers that said, I want to wait for the market to pick up, I want to take a break, I want to get away from the market. There's more inventory right now, and the prices are going up, and I don't see the prices going down. So if somebody's thinking about buying, they want to do it sooner than later. Anybody agree with that? Any other thing? That's fine. On the condo side, it's even better. We've had 1,500 sales on the condo side. Last year we had 1,200. So the condo sales are up actually 28% from last year for the first 14 days. And freeholds, there's 2,500 last year, 2,200. So freeholds are up 13%. from the first 14 days of May of last year. So that's all good things, right? So it's all encouraging. It's all positive. Toronto's pivot was up 28% for the first 14 days. So that's all good news. Maple Leafs, so much. We did our session last week on what was the name of the fellow last week? Dan Wood, yeah. Okay. Dan Wood, right? I've known Dan Wood for years and years and years. Hopefully you guys picked up on that and you took advantage of what he had to say. Did all you guys get a chance to look at that? I know we had how many people online? 60 people online. So it's not huge, but certainly something there. I recommend that you go back and look at that on your own time and have a look and see what he suggests. He sort of mixed the old school and new school. He talked about some old things that was kind of some old things that we used to do. For instance, when we're advertising in the newspapers years ago, you can't do it nowadays. But years ago, you would have a newspaper, local newspaper here in Scarborough, the Scarborough Mirror, maybe the Pickering newspaper, news advertiser. What's the one in Markham called? The Markham Inquirer or something, or Economist? Okay. And what people would do is they would take a property from Clarington and they would advertise it in Scarborough for like $500,000. The Scarborough property is going for $700,000, then they get 1,000 calls for that thing, knowing that it wasn't a Scarborough property, but the idea was sort of a bait and switch. There wasn't. It's not something we recommend, but it's something this guy talked about, right? You have to know what you're doing in that case. But he also went in and talked about other things. Talked about some Google banner ads if you want to get involved in that business. He was saying that if you're ever farming area, and we haven't talked much about farming, I think you see more people get involved in farming somehow, doing letters. Yeah, I think farming is sort of a bit of a lost art, I think, maybe because it's expensive, maybe, I don't know.
I think it's a long-term.
It's a long-term game.
Pay the fees for not guaranteed.
Yeah. So this guy's pretty good. Okay, I've seen this before. I've seen agents, brand new agents out of the box. They'll go and they'll get a bus bench. They'll go out and get put their name on some park bench or something there, or TTC bus shelter, and they'll right out of the box put that, thinking that people are going to call them off those ads, and that's never the case, right? Like people aren't going to call you just because you have a bus bench or they're just not going to call you. It's a lot of money that's wasted. And he said the same thing on this here. Unless you have a farm, don't be doing what he's saying here in this particular case. And what he was talking about was a Google banner ad. The Google banner ad, he said that you can actually target through the farm. You can target it through postal codes. And for as little as $50 a month, you can have anywhere from 20,000 to 60,000 impressions on a banner ad. And banner ad is just something that shows up on a site, kind of follows you around a little bit. You sort of, you're on YouTube looking at something else, and all of a sudden somebody's name pops up. You know, talking about this. These are the Google ads we're talking about. But they're saying that he said that it does not work for people that are brand new out of the box that doesn't have a farm already. So it's the same thing as the bus bench thing. It's something that if you're thinking about farming, then you want to talk about bus bench. If you're thinking about farming, then you want to talk about these Google banner ads. But if you're just doing, here and there guerrilla type farming, this doesn't it's not really worth the money, right? But that's what he talked about there. He talked about YouTube ads. In the past, we talked about AdWords. We talked about Facebook Marketplace. We talked about those places to try to generate business. But have we ever done YouTube ads? Never.
I liked his idea. He says you actually don't pay for the YouTube ads unless they watch the whole video through, which is very.
Okay. All right, so here's what he's talking about YouTube ads. Hopefully everybody's YouTube here, right? Anybody YouTubed in their life? No, YouTube. And anytime you YouTube something, you get an advertisement that comes up there, and it goes on for what, 5 seconds there, and then at the bottom right corner you put skip ad. What do we all do here? Skip the ad. Okay, so way that YouTube ads work. Let me go back a little bit. The way that Google AdWords. Everybody's familiar with that? They don't call it Google AdWords anymore. They call it something else. Anyways, Google AdWords, it's a pay per click. Everybody's familiar with pay per click. So you set up a search words in Google Ads. You direct people to your landing page, whatever landing page you want that to be. You create a list of keywords, and let's say it would be like Toronto real estate for sale or something, or Toronto real estate. So somebody's going to punch you in Toronto real estate, and whatever budget you put for that click, if they click on that ad and you actually show up, then you're going to pay the $4, $5, $6, whatever it is for that click. and that person is going to be directed to your landing page, right? So that's how Google AdWords works. Not too many people do that here. Anybody here with Google? No, not Google. Anybody here with Agent Locator? Nobody here at Agent Locator? Anybody? I know there's a bunch that are I know you're not going to put up your hand, but it's okay. There's people here with Agent Locator, and part of Agent Locator is you have a budget for the ad budgets, and that's how they're directing traffic to the Google AdWords, right? To go to that page. Going back to the YouTube ads. So what he's saying here is that you can have a quick little YouTube advertisement, and you want to have your message in less than 5 seconds because they're going to do skip ad. So if they don't skip the ad, then you have to pay YouTube for that. People looking at your webpage, you're looking at that YouTube ad. But if you actually do your advertising at the beginning, they're gonna click on skip ad, so it's not going to cost you anything. Everybody follow me there? So if you can have your branding right in their first 5 seconds there, and then they're going to skip ad, you've done what you want to do. You put your name out there. You've got your name out there. Something quick, give me a call, something fast, and it's there. So if you tried that at all, it was a good thought, right? Facebook listing ads. It's a platform that most agents use because it works. They said you get junk leads, yes, but that comes with the territory. Mostly buyers, but follow-up turns into sellers. And sometimes again, you can do like a 40-kilometer radius or something. You can actually target to those particular ads if you want to do that way. He's got a free book on book a free strategy session. So he actually gave you an opportunity to contact him to get a one-on-one for what, 15 minutes or so, just to answer any questions you may have. So that's Dan Wood. So go back to the Wednesday sessions on our Facebook.
The also phone number he gave us. I think like 30 people texted him, so let's just get it. But he's good if you guys want to pick his brain on brand.
Okay. And he's been around for a long time now. So just some ideas. So if you're thinking about, gee, I want to generate some business, or I want to create another pillar, maybe have another pillar sitting there, maybe you can do something like that, right?
Andrew's also good too, if you want to, the guy that's before
The
him.
week before it dies,
They're
and
both
he's
really good, different things, but both those guys are good as follows. So.
good. Just going back to Realm for a minute here. So we've got some Realm things going on. And if you've got an ad edit, if you want to go to a listing and add or edit it or change a listing, you've got to go through Realm now, right? I guess you can go to add edit on Stratus, but it's going to take you to the Realm things. Everybody done that yet? So it's very simple. It's but same information, but it looks different. You still have to fill in the information, but it looks different. So it's a little bit of it's different, but the same. All right. It's just the same information, just different way that it's input. That's your sold. Yeah, that's the ad edit part. That they turned off the old ad edit last week, right? So it just starts. So that's simple thing enough. If you've not done that, then it's there. It's something a little different, but it's okay. Does anybody here use Matrix? No. No, Matrix, not it. So I'm talking Matrix. We had that decision. I think it was only about 2 or 3 people that you had to choose Matrix or you had to choose Stratus, and you couldn't switch back for a year. Not too many people did that. All right, I'm not going to talk about that. But Matrix users, you've got something called One Home. So you would have read about that. You can figure what's going on with that whole thing. I wanted to, okay, so that's fine. I'm not going to put it in any particular order. We've got your this week is Realtor Quest. So you've got May 17th and 18th at the airport, I guess, right on Dixon Road. It's at the Congress Center. Congress Center, it's on Dixon Road, right? That's going to be the 17th, 18th. It's a 2-day event. Some people actually go for 2 days. Some people go for the 1 day. Some people don't go at all. Anybody here planning going to that? Okay, so if you are going to go there, you can go the 1 day. It's the same thing. Other than the keynote speakers, which, you know, if that's what you want to do, you can take them in. The keynote speakers would be, anybody remember from memory? It's that Noah guy. Noah guy from the TV show, whatever it is, and Billie Jean King. How many people are old enough to know who Billie Jean King is? Elio and me. All right, what's her claim to fame? I don't know, but no, it's what, eh? She was Bobby Riggs, right? So her and Bobby Riggs did a national TV show where it was men against women. It was everybody said that this guy was going on bragging, said I could beat a woman with my hand tied behind my back, right? So they took her to challenge, went on TV, and she actually ended up beating him. So, but she was 22 and he was like 93. Kidding, I don't know. Anyway, so she's speaking on what I don't know how to I don't know. And then the other girl that's probably the most relevant one is the girl that Martin Luther King's daughter's speaking. So that'd be kind of cool there. But still, these are all speakers. We don't know why they're at a real estate conference, unless you want motivation or something there. But I don't know. But there's going to be also lots of other guys out there. I'm sure there's going to be lots of guys out there trying to sell you web pages. Lots of guys out there trying to sell you lead gen. Lots of guys out there trying to sell you listing presentations or training programs or coaching programs. There's all these types of things out there. It'll be quite a bit of a thing. It's supposed to be the largest real estate show, I guess, in Canada, anyways. All right. So that'll be on the 17th, 18th, which is the Wednesday, Thursday, or Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday. Today's the 15th, yeah, so Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, so that's coming up. It's an all-day event. You can go in anytime you want. Of course, it doesn't start, starts and goes, but it goes all day long. So you can go there anytime you want. Right?
So no training on Wednesday.
So we won't be doing training on Wednesday because you'll all be there.
Hoping, because there's like sessions happening. I will send a video.
So Treb's going to be there. Rico's going to be there. Maria's going to be there. So if you have any political opinions that you want to share with them, then there's an opportunity to talk to them. I get calls all the time from people saying, why are they doing that? Why are they doing this? Well, those are the people there that can answer the questions. Of course, they're not the people, they're probably the staff, but there's certainly some questions out there, right? Starting also soon on what do we talk about? The PIN numbers for the new ad edit. Does anybody have an issue with that finding PIN numbers? It's a mandatory field now. We're okay with that. Square footage is going to come on, room dimensions on June 1st and mandatory. So I know on Friday we were talking to somebody there and they were going to go out and get themselves one of those electronic tape measure things. Or I had a way that you can do it cheaper.
Well,
Nobody wants to do the way I can do it cheaper. How to measure a house cheap?
no.
Get a measuring tape for $1, or get an electronic thing for $100, right?
It's $40, the other one.
Electronic?
Yes.
But are they accurate? Yes.
Yeah.
I'd say
More accurate
than
than two.
I'd rather be less accurate than somebody taking somebody else's dimensions from a previous listing.
Yes.
There is companies out there, like photographers that now offering floor plans and measurements too. If you really
Are those accurate? No, are those accurate?
I don't think those would be accurate. I wouldn't trust the one the photographers do.
Yeah.
What they do is they put a tripod in the middle of a room and they spin the camera around. The camera then tells you what the dimensions of the room are.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think that'd be accurate. Anyways, laser or tape measure, what do we do?
Get this out of the house.
Okay. Let's have a vote. No. Everyone just measure. Yeah.
Somebody phoned me on the weekend there. They were surprised. They had just off topic here, but they had a property that was a link property. Everybody know what a link property is?
Could be on the grill.
All right. And link properties, for those people that are brand new, you wouldn't know it's a link. It looks like this particular property here looks like a detached house, but the link is at the footings in between the houses at the footings. When you look at the house, you wouldn't know that it's a link. But anyways, on Toronto MLS, we have this link and you put yes, a little mandatory box. But as soon as it gets uploaded to realtor.ca in bold letters with 2 asterisks, it says this is a link home. That's what the consumer sees.
So
And-
what?
Well, so what? So what our clients phoned up and said, when I bought the house, nobody told me it was a link. Now we're selling the house and now you got this is a link house on realtor.ca. Right?
But
So,
the agent should have put in their link. A lot of agents don't do that.
but our agent's the one that deals with the client today. Right.
Our agent is listing agent.
Yeah. But my point is that even though, I don't know why Realtor.ca wouldn't just have a little yes instead of this big bold thing saying that this is a linked home. It's almost like, warning.
Yeah, but that comes up in the MLS listing, right on the top, this property, the link property.
Yeah, but Realtor.ca, all we do on Toronto MLS is little check mark.
Yeah.
But on Realtor.ca, it actually puts it in words. This is a linked home
Well, because of
With-
all the mistakes people were
with
making. That's
asterisks
what
too.
affected it.
Uh,
Consumers complained.
The other thing is the square footage, and if you want to go to Trev, you're talking to anybody at Trev on Wednesday, Thursday, there it says here the square footage requirements on all new residential properties will also be mandatory as of July 1st. Trev is working to make the appropriate source of information available. So I want to know, what is that source of information?
And how much is it?
$5.
It used to be free when we were with Geo Warehouse, but now they got rid of that. And away they go, right?
No, but not all the property, that's only if available, not all the property have the square footage.
Every house has square footage.
No, not in the Geo.
No, that's why we have the measuring tape.
No, I'm talking about these.
It's gonna be a mandatory field in July, so you have to figure out.
Then how you gonna, I'm sure they're gonna figure it out. for
Yeah,
you,
so you can pay the $5 for it.
Which is okay, but they don't have all of them.
My first job, by the way, just going back 100 years, was working for the assessment department of Ontario out of school, and my job there was to do the assessments for properties. So every single property in Toronto does have square footage because we measured them. Eh?
Well, did you have an impact?
I didn't say you're getting rid of anything. No, Geo Warehouse got rid of it.
Yeah.
No, sorry, Geo Warehouse never had it. Impact had it, but now we no longer have Impact.
Well, you pay $5 to have it.
Correct. I'd like to see listing agents pay the $5 and then, but even
So
then,
I just listed a home, my house is 1850, one down the street sold for 2,500 square feet. I said, look, exactly the same from outside. When I looked at the impact, it's 1850. But they sold 2,500 square feet.
so
But
what,
I'll fight with the fire agent,
The square footage is the same, or does it looks like the same?
same inside, same square footage impact.
yeah. So I don't know, where'd the listing agent get his information, as long as he can cover
You
himself.
just put 2,025.
So I think what Trev's gonna do, I can't see Trev saying it's gonna be 1,500 square foot or 1,553 square foot. I can see him say it's gonna be like 1,500 to 2,000 because of these things here, right? So I can see them come with the
But if
range.
you didn't have the impact, how would I know that house is, but it's 1,800 square feet, it's still 4-bedroom, main floor family room, look like 2,200 square feet.
Yeah, so come July, it'll be a mandatory field, so hopefully we'll
Yeah.
cover that, figure that out, right?
Mandatory exact square footage or?
Well, I don't know. I think it'd be a range. I can't see them doing exact square
Nothing
footage.
is the exact one.
You can do it for condos, and we have that exact, right? We get the range and the exact.
All right, and then like they gotta clean that up too. So again, if you're going to Realtor Quest and you got something from Trev MLS there, you might want to say like, why are you allowing people to put the balcony as part of the square footage of a condo? I don't care the right or not. I mean, the square footage of the condo is not the
It's
balcony.
only inside.
It's not the balcony. So if they put 700 square foot and in the fine print, they say, and it's 100 square foot is the balcony. That's not proper.
In the year
So-
covers and
So they need to clean that up, right?
They have a management, they have entire units, entire buildings, square footage there. That's the management, only the management I have seen they have done that. But the management didn't do that. In the year covers, they have the entire square footage, all kind of units. Square footage. Yeah. The management, they have them in
They
there.
have to have square footage.
Including the
balconies.
They have it from their website. You could take it and it's every measurement.
Including that.
So,
No,
yeah, okay. So James here saying that, that some builders are including the balcony as part of the square footage. I don't know why they're doing that, but anyways, there should be some standard there. What else? Going back to Realtor Quest, I think they want you to do a registration. Is that right? So they want you to register that you're gonna be there, so that way they'll gonna give you a QR code for your phone, so you can go to the
What's the benefit?
well, when you go to check in, you just have to show your phone with the QR code and they'll check you in. I'm sure they'll do that instead of having to sign a piece of paper, give your business cards, stuff. So you can do that too. And there's
Box lunch, is it?
For the box lunch.
Are they
Box
doing,
water?
are they doing lunch again?
Oh,
I'm sure they are.
They have so much money, they should be offering.
There'll be champagne. I want my mimosa.
Yeah. And you tell them that, hey, I want from a Kelsey or.
So I went to
You're
one.
paying so much money.
I went to one realtor crest once, and I think some agents were feeding the food bank, because we weren't just grabbing one box lunch, or grabbing like a handful and walking out. What do you-
They had to change it the following year.
And the following year, they had to say one per person, thank you very much, or give a ticket or something, right? They didn't have drinks afterwards too. Didn't they have like a cocktail hour?
No,
They did, I think they had to pay for that though.
They did. I thought they gave you like a free drink or something.
The bar, I think you have to pay for it.
Sticking with the property line and MPAC. So MPAC's gone, property line is still there, Geo Warehouse is still there, but property line, but now they've got a couple of things that they started today. You just gave that to me, their new enhancements. So now you can see property layers based on residential, commercial farms, so different colors for different areas. They have little pockets there when they're showing the properties themselves. But they also have a button on there which is kind of cool for the assessment. Now I do that myself when I do CMAs. If I'm looking at, if I'm not sure what the square footage is, I'll look at what the city thinks the square footage is, and I'll compare assessment value to this property, assessment value to that property. This is one of the things that I would check. You do the same thing, Nelson, or so? So it really depends on how you do. I do it just as double check, just one of many things to do the evaluation. But that gives me some idea
It
that,
gives you an idea, if a property's been turned over more than the other
Yeah.
one, then
but if I had a situation like Shiv's saying that is the property 1855 or is the property 2,000 square foot, it's the same house. I would look at the assessed value, and if the assessed values are both the same,
No, I
then
looked at the square footage, it's exact same square footage.
Right.
But the agent sold it for 2,500 square feet. I told seller, I said, that's 2,500 square feet, yours is 1,850. And then I realized that it's the same house.
Yeah, but you could also go to assessment, see if the city thinks it's the same, just to strengthen your argument. Rico's up to the same tricks there too. So they're having their AGM as well on May 25th. If everyone wants to go to a Rico general meeting, but they've hired, I guess this guy's okay, Benjamin Tai. He's always been around from CIBC. He talks a lot, but he's also have moderated by Peter Mansbridge. So whether you have to pay him to moderate, I don't know. Anyways. Treb, a lot of agents like to go to Treb for hands-on classroom type training. So Treb is open up again. So they do have a lot of hands-on training if you guys like that better than the virtual things. And there's all kinds of things you can go to that'll teach you things that you need to know. In other words, Realm, for instance, if you want to do a one-on-one on Realm with a a classroom type setting, they'll do that there. Commercial stuff, office administrative, people like that. If you got administrator, there's all kinds of courses down at Treb, they'll take care of those things. Bank warnings of delinquency. So delinquencies in Canada are very, very low, probably less than 1%. So you may see, I don't, it's a money-making thing for the insurance. There's not a lot of people that let their mortgages go, but nowadays we've got a new people, and it's the private lenders. The private lenders are what I call predatory lenders in some cases, but they do have a service, they do have a purpose, but sometimes the purpose, you have to remember what the purpose is for. If you're going to do private lending, you want it to be short term, you want it to be quick, you want it to be something last, case of last resorts. Something you don't want to have like a 5-year mortgage with these guys here. You want to make it like 6 months or less, something like that, something to get yourself going. I'm seeing some heads in here. So it's only a stopgap. It's only a temporary solution to your clients' problems. It's not a long-term solution. What they're seeing here is that the report from RBC is saying that delinquency has risen by 1/3 in the coming year. So they're expecting delinquencies to go up by 1/3, 30% increase in delinquencies, but still those delinquencies are still less than 1%. So when we're talking about it's going to go up 30%, it's still a very small number of people that be delinquent. But they're saying here that the bank forecasts that the house debt to service ratio could rise more than a percentage point over the next year. That means like your 44% would be 45%. That's a whole lot, not a whole lot of difference there. The financial institutions are keeping an eye on homeowners who bought a property between 2020 and 2022, when the market was at its peak and the interest rates were at their bottom. So they're keeping an eye on these particular people, because the renewals are coming, they're coming between 2025 and 2027. So they're concerned about these people having to renew because things have changed, right? Interest rates have changed quite a bit and the value of the property's gone up quite a bit. In most cases, I think most banks will send your client a renewal letter, give you a couple options for renewals, and that's it. They don't ask you to re-qualify. But if you want to shop that mortgage, go somewhere else, then you're gonna have issues.
So are the banks charging interest only as well?
Some will on existing mortgage, not right off the top.
No, on the existing renewal,
Yeah.
or not renewal.
No, they'll do it in hardship cases, right? In some of these hardship cases, and somebody phones the banks and says, "Look, I can't make my payments," blah 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 blah. Then they'll now change the amortization period, change the ratio between what's paid for paid for the interest versus the principal. So they'll work with them, but on a one basis. And this is a federal government. I think it's federal provision. I think the federal government mandated the banks to have some leeway with renewals.
That's correct, yeah, that's.
Right,
that was the last
so
one.
the banks, the federal government came in and talked about that. But part of these guys are getting the private mortgages still, I don't know. Their unemployment rate is still 6.6%. That's pretty low. 6.6% unemployment. 6.6% is the unemployment, so they're not worried about that. On the private lender side, what they'll do is they'll do 9%. They'll charge 1 or 3% finder's fees on top of that. So the first year the guy's paying who knows what their first year, so he's paying 1 or 2% finder's fee, 9% interest rate, interest only, all kinds of crazy things. So you don't want that mortgage for 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, can you imagine paying a mortgage for 4 years and not paying down a mortgage at all?
That's usually 1 year mortgage, they only want to give you one.
That's
year.
right. But on the predatory lenders, after 1 year, then they say, okay, we're not going to charge you 9%. They say we're going to charge you 15%.
After 1 year.
Yeah, if you don't like it, and go somewhere else, or they'll charge 9%, but they'll charge 3% finder's fee a second time. All right, so it's just an awful thing to be into. Something's happened in the city of Toronto, which is a good thing, and they're no longer going to allow zoning for single family residential. Every city in Toronto can have single family residential, but can also have multiple properties. So somebody can convert a house from a single family residence, they can convert it to a triplex.
They
So
can,
you mean construction wise?
Construction wise.
that's a brand new.
No, they could existing. They can, as long as it has to abide to the zoning codes, has to abide the the fire codes. And space. It still has to overcome some of the zoning stuff there, but they're allowed to do it. So they're saying here that multiplexes will now be permitted to be built across Toronto. Expanding multiplexes in all Toronto neighborhoods. Toronto is expected to add 700,000 new residents by 2051. Okay, what year is it today?
How many?
Population.
2051, I'm gonna be 125, so I don't worry about it.
No, the population will be 10 million people.
Multiplexes that can be delivered quickly, staffed and owners apart. So here's what I want you to think about. Okay, so they want more construction. I grew up in Orton Park in Lawrence, Orton Park in Vermont. In that area, it's old houses built in the 1950s, and these houses are about 1,100 square foot, 1,200, 900 square foot bungalows, side splits. And they're all sitting on 40-foot lots, 50-foot lots. Some of them are backing onto ravines. These houses are old, and 1 bathroom, blah blah blah. So, in my mind now, with these new rules, why wouldn't somebody buy 4 of these houses all together? What's the Scarborough bungalow now? 1.1, 1.150, 2?
No,
So
those
what,
on
5
the,
million?
not even $1 million.
Okay, so you buy 4 of them at, let's say it's $1 million. You buy 4 of them at $4 million, right? You tear them all down and build these urban townhouses instead. Do you think there's some money to be made there?
That's a ghetto neighborhood.
Well, you're building ghetto buildings, so.
Silent Park is having a hard time selling them.
No, that's the area.
That's not a good
That
idea.
area.
It's a good area to live. It's a bad area to send your kids to school.
Bad area, there's no such thing bad area, every place. is-
Anyway, so think about what I'm thinking about here. So think outside the box here. Why not do some land assembly? Why not maybe make some inquiries on a particular neighborhood and find out, hey, what can I bore these 4 houses? Can I tear these 4 houses down? Can I build a townhouse complex and can I make money?
But not heritage ones, right?
There's no heritage there.
Not 1950s, right? So I'm getting all these pushbacks here. Not this and not, come on. This is positive news. You need to be looking for opportunities. Have you ever? Did anybody drive on? I can't remember. It was Finch or Shepherd. I think Ballin had. Did anybody drive by and saw Ballin's sign? They had about what 4 or 5 properties along Finch or along Shepherd for sale. Land assembly. And what they did is somebody took the 3 or 4 houses that were on Shepherd, is that? And they're backing onto houses behind them. They were backing to have their own street behind them. So they're getting like 8 properties together. You buy them all for what are you going to pay for them? You tear them all down. You build yourself a 30-foot condo. Where you go. Right. So all you have to do is, hey, you want to sell your house, right? I'm thinking about doing a land assembly. How's that? If I want to get you and your neighbor and this neighbor all to get together, let's all get together here and see if we can do something. Is it a lot of work? Yeah. Well, but it's there, especially with these new rules. So something to think about. You're looking, I'm trying to give you another pillar here to think about. Something that think outside the box a little bit. Maybe you've got something in your neighborhood somewhere. Just look around. And just don't look at the streets on the main streets. Look at what's behind them and whether or not they can all be developed. Long term, but something there, right? Average rents have gone up apparently. Rental units have gone up quite a bit. Yeah, they call it the yellow belt. Goodbye, yellow belt. Yellow belt is about 70% of all Toronto homes right now are zoned single family homes only. So that's now gone. So
I heard in Brampton, you can put 2 basement apartment legally.
you can put 2 basement apartments legally, yeah. As long as they've got the egress and all the fire regulations,
Parking and so on.
parking. I know in Pickering, I said before, in Pickering, you can have a legal basement apartment, but you have to have side-by-side parking. You can't have 10.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that are happening, right? This article here is written by this person. It's just anecdotal, what do we call it? It says, I sold my rural home. Now I can't buy a house in town. How many people during the pandemic bought outside Toronto, wanted to get out of the city, get away from the city? And now they've moved out of the city. Now they want to move back to the city and they realize the prices have gone up so high they can never ever move back again. Friend of mine years ago, he got a job in Trenton. He moved to Trenton. Then he retired from that job, tried to move into Toronto. All he could afford was Lindsay.
For what?
All he could afford was Lindsay. Right? Because the markets took off and all these little towns, the markets do not take off. How many clients have bought out in Windsor and all these other places and those prices don't increase. Not like Toronto. But anyways, that was happening there. And they're saying their Toronto's real estate bubble may have just got a price floor from politicians. And that's what they're talking about, because all these people here now can build these houses. Maybe there'll be more supply coming to things, so maybe that'll break the price bubble. Maybe the prices will come down.
Not that, I'm not checking on that, I'm not driving.
People don't drive in New York.
People don't drive in New York, don't drive in London.
They don't drive in London, yeah.
I've been to Europe. You guys been to Europe there, and every time you go down there, there's like buildings everywhere, but there's a lot of bicycles,
It's absolutely good.
a lot of bicycles, and a lot of subways,
Subway system is
trains.
They have like 50 lines.
Hey, this guy here, you guys should have done this here. This guy here made a bet. He says that is a Toronto Maple Leafs, right? Realtors make bold promise, will work for free. This is before Friday price. They'll work for free if the Leafs come back. So what his shtick was, list with me, we'll sell your house, and if the Leafs win this series, then I won't charge any fee for you. I'll charge the 2.5%, but not the fee for you.
That's a great.
There's outside the box.
What are they paying?
They're trying to
And you
work
know
that
they're not gonna come back. They were not going to come back.
Well, they know they're not gonna win. They're already down 3-0.
They were not going to come back.
He was thinking outside the box and he made it in the newspaper. Right? Didn't cost him a thing. Just thinking outside the box, right? So Durham Real Estate, Durham Association of Realtors, the Durham Quinte Board, CUDAR, the Northumberland Board. These, believe it or not, they're actually real estate boards. And other than Durham and Northumberland, who used Stratus, Quinte's been using the ITSO. Quinte's been using the matrix system, right? But they've all voted and decided to join together. So now the Durham board and the Quinte board and Northumberland board all go join together. And I'm told that in the next 2 or 3 months, they'll be switching over to Stratus. So anybody that is on CUDAR right now, we've got a bunch. When they get their act together, we get all the stuff together and doing what they're going to do, the ITSO will no longer exist for those people, and they'll have access to Stratus, which means you'll have access to all the listings right from Toronto right up to Quinte, which is not Kingston, it's Quinte, so it takes you to Belleville. Kingston has their own board again, right? Kingston board and Quinte board are different boards? Yes, okay. And then ITSO is having a meeting next week with themselves, I guess, because there's 30 some odd members of the ITSO board. And ITSO is, so you've got your Toronto Real Estate Board here. We have our own Stratus MLS. Ottawa has their own MLS system, wherever that is. And all the other little towns have joined together because they're all not for profit. And all the other little towns, they have, their membership would be, what's the membership in Peterborough? 400 or 600 people or something?
Oh, yeah.
I think you supposed to 500.
500 people, so they could never pay for their own Stratus. And the same guy from Paris, Ontario, or from all these other little towns. So they all got together and created this thing called ITSO, ITSO. And so ITSO runs for all these small boards, they run the database. So what I'm saying here is that they're having their own meeting, they want to get together, how can they make it one database for all of Ontario? And I think the answer is you get rid of your database and you join TRIB. TRIB has 70,000 agents. All of Canada has 160,000. So, it's a bit of
In
a,
Canada?
all of Canada, 160,000 agents, all of Canada. Toronto has 70,000
40%.
just in one city, right? So sometimes the tail's wagging the dog here. I think the dog has the will the other way around, right? So you guys need to join Stratus or Realm. Get rid of all your, whatever you guys are doing out there. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Toronto downtown, although it ranks something like 55 out of 63 New York cities. Sorry, it came out of 55 out of 63 North American cities for people going back to work. Everybody else has gone back to work except for the people in Toronto. Toronto people have not gone back to work because they want to work from home. Didn't we just have that with CRA? Didn't CRA just have a big strike because they want to work from home? So we've got all this office space downtown that's sitting there still empty because people aren't doing all those businesses and so on and so forth. So they're thinking it's not, it's not a very good thing, but for some reason, Toronto just has not opened the doors.
2 days a week is the average. They go back.
2 days a week? Yeah. Just off topic here, it's just something I saw here. Just should Ontario ban advertising for online betting companies? Anybody notice any advertisements for betting?
Like sports betting?
And what sports betting? And what they're saying here is now they're getting Wayne Gretzky, they're getting all these hockey players to advertise during the hockey games, and they're worried that it's going to maybe poison some of the young kids' minds into doing these types of things.
That's good.
I don't know. I don't like this. I don't know why they're. To me, it's advertising, and they're advertising everywhere. You know how much the government? You know how much money the government made?
Ready? Yeah.
Right? The government taxes these guys, right? 1 year, Ontario got $1.4 billion in taxes. Fee. And the companies themselves got $35 billion,
But billion,
$35 billion in 1 year,
government only got 1.5, not even 54%.
right? There you go. We're waiting for Statistics Canada. Tomorrow is going to announce the inflation rate. I think the inflation rate may have come down. So I don't expect they're going to increase the interest rates if that rate comes down, but keep an eye on it. Last time they did it was 4.3. It peaked at what, 8%? In March, 8.1%. So it's almost going along with the real estate business. So. And then everybody's up in arms with this new rule, and they made a typo error on telling me that it was January 23, which I knew had to be wrong because it's already passed, but it's going to be January 24, and that's going to be the exclusive listings and how we're not allowed to take exclusive listings unless they're on MLS in 3 days. So it's not going to happen until January 24. And I think between now and January 24, they're going to probably get some resistance. Bob Aaron here, he's got a solution. He says that he's a lawyer. Anybody know Bob Aaron's solution? His solution is the people that voted in wasn't us, wasn't the realtors that voted this thing in, it was our delegates. So people that we elected to represent us at Korea. So they voted for that. So Bob Aaron's his solution was, my opinion, they should toss out all the delegates to the Korea National as soon as possible and start new. He's saying why could anybody tell the public that it has to be on MLS?
Well, it's still take exclusive listing, just not advertising.
Correct.
That's sitting in your home.
But what they're saying here, and this Barry LeBeau guy says, like, what if you're a hockey player? What if you've got guns in the house? What if you've got you're some kind of
exception.
there's got to be exceptions, right? But the exception is
you may have to get approval. What if your house is $25 million?
well, that's right. And what they've done here too, well, no, they're quite clear. They're saying here that if it's exclusive listing, your client has to sign off on it, saying that he understands what exclusive listing is and what it does and doesn't do. But you still can't advertise it.
The sign post installation alone, I don't know
Even-
how they're gonna time that.
Even the sign installation, you can't install a sign. So I can't see it going forward. To
Doesn't
me,
it apply to commercial as well?
no, not commercial.
There you go. I mean, commercial is 80%,
That's different. That's a business. People can't advertise. You can't say I'm selling Walmart.
Now what they're doing here, so what I've read here about the reasons why they did this, and the reasons is incorrect. They're saying here the reasons why it should be on MLS is because the public should take advantage of MLS. It's got to go on MLS. MLS has all the exposure, and that's why would somebody not want to put an MLS? So they're going back saying that the realtor's being greedy or something because they're trying to double end it.
That makes sense.
The agents want to double end it, so that's why they're not putting it on MLS. And the same guys here are saying, no, it's got to be on MLS in 3 days. So that's the gist of where it's coming from. But I know why guys put it on MLS. Everybody I talk to, and it's not because of guys want to double end it. It's because the client doesn't want to pay commissions. That's usually why it's exclusive.
Or sometimes the client is very high profile.
High profile, but more cases than not, the guy only wants to pay 1% commission, and that's it. So the agent say, okay, I got a buyer or whatever I'll do, right? So I'll get the buyer to pay me. That's generally what I see happens. And AI, I see more and more people playing around with that chat AI. Has anybody here played around with that yet?
I don't use it now.
There's a lot.
Do you think it's gonna be a flash in the pan there? Do you think it's gonna be the flavor of the week and it's gonna disappear?
It's gonna be there.
AI is here to stay.
One of our agents was struggling, and I'll give her the age of the agent, not anything else, but the agent was like plus 70 years old, right? Very active agent still. But they're looking at there and they're trying to come up with the words for descriptions for a new listing they got. And they're trying, and they had the mental block. I said, just go to this chat AI. Say, oh, give me 400 words or 400 words or less, or characters or less description of this house. And sure enough, it did. And there it was. So this person took advantage of it. So maybe you guys could too, right? And that's just chat AP, is it? Chat GPT is the one, but I'm sure that other companies are going to come up with it as well. one of our agents has a web page. So who's tried the chat AP? You know what I'm talking about, the chat AP? The thing, it's interesting, right? The way it talks. According to this article I read, they had the chat AP take a lawyer's exam for the bar, for the American US bar, and it passed. So just tell you how powerful it is, right?
Teachers are not liking it right
Yeah, it's great for
Teachers aren't
everyone.
like it now.
Yeah, teachers
But
are not-
what they're yeah. So they're going here saying, how's that going to affect us? You think AP is going to affect realtors? I don't think so.
Yeah, but in a good
now. In a
way.
good way.
Can't show home.
Like, There's gonna need people to show homes and copy and stuff, but it's gonna make our job.
You don't see a lobby. That's a lot.
You guys start using it.
It's not.
Who knows? Okay, then finally, I talked about, we're waiting for the Trust and Real Estate Act phase 2 to come through. They were supposed to come, it was supposed to happen, but they delayed it because they had some questions about things going on. The Trust and Real Estate Act, and one of the things that I think that, well, one of the things they're talking about is being able to have offers available to other people, like being able to show the contents of other offers. And I showed you a couple of weeks ago that thing called Open Offer, which is more like an auction type program. It came from Australia, and this is the program that they use for their auctions, and that's what that AP thing was. That Open Offer was, and they wouldn't tell me the price. Did you guys ever talk to those guys? Like, I passed it on to you guys, right? I believe it was like $600 a year to be able to use this program. I can't see a lot of people doing that because I can't see anybody doing that unless I can't see anybody doing it. Anyways. But now if you notice on your Trombless, you've got Sky Slope forms. You've got Sky Slope forms right now. And then you've got Sky Slope offers. Have you noticed that? And the Sky Slope offers it's not highlighted yet. It's still gray. So they haven't turned it on yet. They're still waiting for this Trust Real Estate Act to come through. But it's pretty slick. So forget about the open offer I told you about last week. On this particular program, what you'll do is you've got a listing sitting there. And if you're the buying agent, you want to put an offer on, I'm just assuming all this stuff here, but you're looking at the listing, you want to put an offer in. You're going to prepare the offer, and then you're going to hit a button on that listing, and you say upload offer or register offer, whatever it's going to say. Looking at Irene here, something to that effect, right? No, but on the listing itself, the first part, there's something on there about Sky Slope. Anyways, you're right. So the listing agent, if they're going to accept offers, let's say today, they're going to create a link, and they're going to send a link to anybody that showed the property. But that link has to get out somewhere. And what the agent's going to do, you guys are going to open up this link, and then it's going to open up the Sky Slope, and the link's going to say you have an offer. Upload your offer. So you're going to take your offer, you're going to upload it to this program, and then you're going to get a receipt saying success, you upload your offer. Then you as a listing agent will get an email saying that an offer's been registered on your property. When you open up that email and that document, you'll be able to see the offer. As soon as you open it, the buying agent gets an email saying that your offer has been looked at. Right? And where you go. Second guy puts an offer in the same property, same thing. Third guy, same thing. Eventually, you're going to be able to download all the offers, and it downloads into an Excel file. Anybody do this now? Multiple offers. You've got offer 1, offer 2, offer 3, offer 4, and on the side you've got the name and the deposit and the closing date and the price and whatever it might be, conditions. And this program here will actually take that information, put it in an Excel file, so you've got it all sitting as a listing agent. So it's pretty slick, and it's not active now, but it will be soon. And it's very, very simple, I believe. So rather than the agents email you directly, they can actually upload it on this format. Sky Slope. Now, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. So if this seems kind of overwhelming again, and I know a lot of agents, maybe there's too much tech coming down the road, you can still do the old way still.
You have to come and use Broker Bay though to notify all your other showing agents too, so now you kind of have to manually do a little bit of both.
Oh, yes.
You gotta notify agent. Have offer.
Yeah, so, but I would rather, okay, so, yeah. So there's some technical things that have to happen as a listing agent, but as a listing agent, you still have control. So even though somebody sent you the offer on Sky Slope, it's not on Broker Bay. And I'm not sure whether you want it on Broker Bay until you've looked at the offer.
Well, yeah, but you may have a duty to notify people also, so you have to figure out a way.
No, but if you got a silly offer, the offer is a silly offer, right? Then why bother getting everybody going? Why tell everybody there's an offer when there isn't an offer because it's a silly offer? Anyways, these are all details that we'll get to later on. We'll make sure that we have all trained. Okay, so just to remind you about Broker Bay. On Broker Bay, just to answer Shanaz here. So on Broker Bay, you've got options on there. You say that you want to let the cooperating showing agents, you want to let showing agents know that you have an offer registered. And the answer, if I'm the listing agent, I'm saying no. No. What about you guys? And I'll tell you why I'm saying no. If I'm asking $2 million and I get an offer for $1.5 million, I don't want to scare away other potential buyers that don't want to compete. And it's a silly offer. So why would you tell anybody you have an offer? Right?
Broker made the two-step process. Even though an agent registered, you as a listing agent can go in and say whether you actually want to accept it as a registered offer and notify people. You can do nothing, but then to your point, you don't want anyone to know.
So I'd rather
Just control.
I'd rather do nobody, but
Yeah.
So Kari's saying you can also decide yourself on one-on-one, but if you have that checked off automatically that all registered offer, then they automatically go. So you have an option to look at the offer, then you can tell them, yes, I'll let everybody know, or no, I won't.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
Default,
Our default's no. I put no as default because of my logic. Other people, if you don't like my logic, that's no problem. You just have to take that check mark off. Okay, so Wednesday, Realtor Quest, we're not doing a meeting. Thursday, Realtor Quest. Next weekend is the long weekend.
Yeah, it's a long.
So no meeting on Monday either then, I guess.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing Sunday hours, so we're still open on the Monday, but we'll do 10 to 4. Anybody have any properties you want to talk about? Everybody's all sold out.
Are they gonna have buyers that are listening to?
Anybody have a buyer that they want something special?
Over. Want a bungalow in Silver.
No.
Pre-con, I've been
That's
getting more
it?
questions than ever now on pre-con.
Pre-construction.
Yeah, more people are asking.
I'm still reading stuff that people that bought pre-construction can't close, but I haven't talked to any clients that are in that position. Have you talked to anybody yet? Sorry, Shanaz. Shanaz is gonna take over the meeting now.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Have you heard any pre-construction problems yet?
Starting to see people not having the ability to close. 2-3 months away. They've made profit on it. I've been saying, try to get, they can't get a lender, nobody will do anything, and I have recommended maybe a private lender for a short term just to get it done, because there is some money there. But it's starting to come around. So I've come over.
I'd be very surprised that Canadians are funny when it comes to their mortgages, that they'll beg, borrow, and steal before they'll let that mortgage go in default. Even so, I mean, investor, they've got 120,000 sitting there that they're gonna lose, they're not gonna lose. They're gonna beg, borrow, and steal. They're gonna go to that guy that I talked about a couple weeks ago that took a 36% interest mortgage. But in this case, it might be worthwhile.
It
Right?
is worthwhile. There is money there. The ones that I've come across me. It's a short. 3 months, 6 months. Just
As long as it takes to close and sell the thing, right?
Yeah. Have the ability to close it, because like Claire said, there's like 100 sitting there.
So reach out to your folks that have bought pre-construction. There might be an opportunity for you there. Okay, anything else? Anybody else online? No? Okay, folks, all right, so we'll see you at Realtor Quest, I guess, right? Okay.
Ask anyone.